All right, visitor statements. I know we have some visitors here. This is great. We always encourage that. I'm going to read the statement. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages the participation of the citizens in the business of the school district. There are 2 points in the meeting where visitor statements are scheduled. Citizens are welcome to raise questions and make comments at either one. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and cannot be combined. Please note, the Board of Education will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during visitor comments. If a person would like additional time to address the board, such a request should be submitted in writing 48 hours before the meeting to the superintendent. All right, so do we have a list ahead? Dr. Freitas, of who's going first?
Okay, so you have 3 minutes. I'll wave my hand when you're on your last 30 seconds, okay?
Sounds good.
So you can wrap up.
Tell us your name.
My name is Noah Briones, and I'm a junior here at RB. And I'm here tonight to offer some comments in support of our school's orchestra program and of our music teachers. More specifically, I would like to speak in support of making sure that we in the orchestra program can continue to have the same teacher, Mr. Matthew Loeb, in the next school year and beyond. So I've been playing the violin for 6 years, since I was 6 years old, and in that time, I've only had 4 violin teachers. That is 11 years and 4 violin teachers. I think that much of my growth as a violinist is due to the stability and consistency in instruction through these many years. Of course, I know that my progress also depends a great deal on how much work I put into my own practicing, but I also know that it inspires me more to practice when I know that my teacher is someone who knows me. He knows how far I have come and how much more I need to do to get better. That strong relationship that I had with my teacher was built through several years and many lessons, and so I can rest assured that he has a solid plan for me going forward. However, our RB Orchestra has not had the chance to build such a relationship with our teacher. I've been in RB's orchestra program since I was a freshman, and in these 3 school years, we've had a different teacher handling the orchestra every single year. This may not sound like a big deal to some, but to musicians, it makes a huge difference in our playing, learning, and growth as individuals and as a group when we are given a chance to build a relationship. The more time and consistency we are given when we play our music, the better we play. This applies with our instruments, with each other as students, and with our teacher. I'm very thankful that I'm here at RB, that I'm studying here at RB, and I'm especially grateful for our music programs. There are not a lot of schools that you come by with the kind of music programs that RB has. While things got a little challenging for orchestra players during the pandemic, I knew that there was still a lot to be thankful for. I know our music teachers worked hard to keep us all learning and still somehow able to make music together. Having a teacher like Mr. Loeb during this time, it truly did make a difference. Mr. Loeb didn't shy away from making the most of technology, especially, to help us make music together remotely and to stay engaged. I'm looking forward to learning more with Mr. Loeb in person and to seeing how much progress our orchestra can make if we are given another year with the same teacher. And so I would like to ask you to please help us. Please help us make sure that we are able to keep our orchestra teacher so that we, RB string musicians, can have the same stability that the band, choir, jazz band, and rock band students have been able to enjoy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah.
All right.
I'll give you the wave with 30 seconds, okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Toria Burrell Rencessin, and I'm the mother of Sophie Rencessin, a junior and very involved music student here at RB. I understand that the board is considering cutting Mr. Matthew Loeb's position in half next year. This, of course, means that Mr. Loeb would be forced to seek a full-time position elsewhere. I'm here to speak not just about Mr. Loeb, but also about the RB Music Department and the impact that cutting Mr. Loeb's job would have. I understand that enrollment in music is down for next year and that this cut is being made entirely due to that. But I feel this is a very short-sighted move, especially in this case. First, Mr. Loeb is an exceptionally talented and outstanding music educator. My daughter Sophie, who is in the wind ensemble, has him as her band teacher. Ever since he began last fall, Sophie has found him very encouraging and inspiring. My husband and I also find him enthusiastic and dedicated. I'm a professional musician. I was educated at the Royal Academy of Music in London and then at Cambridge University in England. I've been a professional pianist, flautist, singer, conductor, composer, and music tutor for 30 years. I recognize an outstanding musician and music educator when I see one. Second, Mr. Loeb has been transformative for the RB Music Department. In the short time he's been here, he's made a big impact on the students and the staff. He's been especially ingenious in creating new ways of helping music students learn, grow, and feel included despite the pandemic. For example, the virtual winter concert that he helped produce was an amazing testament to this. Mr. Loeb has been transformative for the RB orchestra program, as you heard. It seems strange and sad to me that the RB Music Department hasn't been able to keep a permanent orchestra teacher here, but has had to find a new one every year for the last 5 years. It's so unfair to the orchestra students and makes the music department weaker and less well-balanced. Mr. Loeb has really strengthened the orchestra this year. He's encouraged the orchestra students and is poised to build a very strong orchestra program going forward. To lose him now would be devastating for the RB orchestra and for the future of the RB Music Department. As a professional musician, I've always been aware that music education can sometimes be undervalued. But I can tell you from experience that having students learn, practice, and perform music together is highly beneficial for psychological, mathematical, social, emotional, and physical development, and self-discipline. All students, no matter what career they end up in, benefit from a strong music program. Practicing and performing music together has long been proven to develop essential skills for any workplace and for life in general. It develops team building, cooperation, compassion, sensitivity towards others, fine listening skills, creativity, emotional regulation, mathematical awareness, pattern recognition, the list goes on. Therefore, I beg you to reconsider Mr. Loeb's position.
Thank you.
He is a rare gem. Thank you.
Dr. Skinkis, members of the board. My name is Adam Bowen. I have a child who attends the school. I also coach the robotics team. But I'm here tonight to speak to you on a similar topic with regards to Mr. Loeb. It was brought to my attention that there was some consideration given to either cutting his position or cutting his position to 50%, which would potentially allow him to leave. I thought it would be useful not to really share my opinion on that, such as others have, but maybe to just introduce a couple of data points that you might consider when you're thinking about that decision. The first study that I'm going to reference is from the journal of Psychology. It was done a couple of years ago. I'm happy to share the studies. I looked at the performance of about 100,000 students that participated in music and that found that they scored significantly better, statistically significantly better in math and science exams than their peers. The second data point from a different study, students who achieved higher scores in music achieved better scores on standardized tests in all subjects. My sense in learning this is that we don't need less of Mr. Loeb. We need more of Mr. Loeb's. As a parent, I'm critically aware of the benefit. I saw the mission statements. I think every single one of them was related to academic performance. And so I would look at the connection between music and overall academic performance. One other data point I thought was kind of interesting. This was from the same study, the academic who did the analysis. On average, children who played instruments for many years and then continued to play high school or orchestra were equivalent to about one academic year ahead of their peers with regards to English, math, and science skills. again, I think the data is fairly conclusive. Strong participation in music leads to strong academic performance. So while we can have a conversation about the quality of Mr. Loeb, which I think is exceptional, I have a child who participates in that as well. If the mission of the organization, our school, is to encourage strong academic performance, I think one of the critical ways that we do that is through strong music performance. The last thing I'll share, and I think it's an interesting anecdotal because I care about it from a robotics perspective. The robotics team, the music, the drama programs, we tend to work around the fringes, right, of school, right, where we happen in the off hours. And I think what's interesting about this, there was some information, there were a couple academics that studied this, and they talked, I'll read the quote, right, before the school bell, right, we treat students as passive recipients of knowledge whose interest matters little, right? After the bell, in athletics, debate, theater, and music, we treat students as people who learn by doing, people who teach as well as learn, and people whose passion and ideas are worth elevating. So again, I'd ask you to consider the choices that we're making here and the impact that a vibrant academic contributor like Mr. Loeb could make, not only on the music department, but also on the academic performance of the school.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much for allowing me an opportunity to speak. My name is Taita Lester, and I have 2 children at RB. As a mom, I like to think that my children are pretty well-rounded. You met my daughter today, Madison, who is on Student Association. She is also a basketball player, a tennis player, but one of the things that she loves the most at RB is the music program. So I am also here to talk about that. This year, when people talk about a loss of education, I understand that I'm an educator myself, but one of the things that people talk about is that there's not as much connection with COVID and with virtual learning. My daughter has had the opposite experience this year with the music department. 3 weeks ago, Mr. Baum surprised us and dropped by the house a bass clarinet for my daughter to learn. And she has received one-on-one lessons from Mr. Loeb for the past 3 weeks, learning the bass clarinet, improving on her skills. One of the things that would be nice for you to hear was that he's been encouraging her to play music in college. He's had those conversations with her. That's really important as an educator myself and as someone who has gone and gotten my master's and believes in education. He's been pushing her, talking about his experiences, things that he's done. I don't know if you guys have heard him play his instruments, but he plays multiple instruments and he plays them really well. He has encouraged her not only to play in school, but her and her friends have been playing outside of school, which is something that, as a parent, is really interesting to hear. The other day, her and a friend, during their breaks in school, were actually playing their instruments and working on the performance pieces that he gave her. So that was really interesting. The fact that she has 2 teachers this year and they're taking virtual and in-person and kind of balancing that, which is a hard thing to do, I'm really impressed with it, and I think they've done a really great job. They've given her a lot of personal attention. I also know that RB, when we looked at places to live, you guys have a huge amount of children that take AP classes, and one of the classes that might, not have such a great chance of continuing is the AP music theory class, which is really important for kids that are musical. I know for me, when we looked at the state report card, I looked at how many children took AP classes at RB. That was really important to me as a parent. And so he has become an integral part of this music program, and I implore you to please try to keep him on for next year. We know strong schools have strong arts. They just do. And so please continue to support your music program at RB.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hello, My name's Carrie Felix, and I'm just a member of the community and a musician. Been a resident for 26 years, and like the other people that have spoken before me, I'm here to ask the board to reconsider reducing the size of the RB Music Department staff. Having a strong music program has so many benefits for the students. As others have pointed out, research shows that students who have been involved in high school music programs are more likely to graduate, less likely to abuse alcohol and drugs, do better on their SATs, and are more likely to attend and graduate from college. I can also tell you from my personal experience that performing music helps people to express emotions, deal with stress, and inspire others, which I think is important during this time. I can also say that we owe it to the students at our RB High School to provide a strong music department and all the benefits it can provide. So please take this into account and reconsider reducing the size of the music department.
Thank you.
Hi board, thanks for having me. My name is Anthony Perry. I'm a student at RB and I play the cello. I'm actually one of Mr. Loeb's students. I'd also like to talk about why I think we should keep Mr. Loeb on as a teacher for RB music. So I'd like to start with an anecdote about my personal life. I teach swimming lessons at the pool. It's called the Max Aquatics. So sometimes one of my coworkers will have something to do, so I have to take their lesson. I have to take over their kid for one lesson. And so when I take over this kid, this new kid I've never met before, I'm spending most of the lesson like assessing him, trying to figure out how to work with the kid. And so by the end of the lesson, right, I haven't really done anything to benefit the kid. I've only assessed the kid. And then same thing, at a new session, I'll get a whole group of new kids. And it'll take me a good few weeks to actually get to know the kids, get to learn how to work with them, and get to learn what I can do to challenge them so I can teach them to be better swimmers. And I think this also applies to the orchestra at RB, right? If we have a new teacher every year, that teacher spends the entire year trying to get to know each student. And he's not just getting to know one student like I am. He has to get to know multiple students in multiple bands and orchestras that he has to figure out how to work with. So by the end of the year, when he finally figures out, all right, this is the orchestra, this is how I teach them, this is how I challenge them, he just leaves. And then he doesn't actually get to implement all the challenges, the ways he sees to make us better, because he just leaves. And then we'll start the next year, the same thing. The new teacher will try and assess us and figure us out, but by the time they figure us out, it's over. And so that's why I think Mr. Loeb, if he gets another chance to go this year, another chance to go next year, he's gonna implement more things to help make us better, right? And I think Mr. Loeb, more so than other teachers, actually really cares about our students getting to know us. Like, even though I've been remote, I feel closer to Mr. Loeb than I have to any other of my teachers, and I've only seen him twice a week for like half the school year, right? So that's why I think it's really important we keep him on.
Thank you. Nice job.
Hi, my name is David Rensessen. I am a PhD mathematician, and I am also a musician who benefited greatly from attending a high school of similar size to RB, which had a music program that positively dwarfs what we have at RB at this time in terms of student enrollment percentage and staff. I'm here speaking on behalf of the students, I guess, as parents, and in support of maintaining a full-time status for Mr. Matthew Loeb's position in the music department. So let's start with reality. I'm going to make a bad analogy. If you wanted to hire someone to clean your home once a week, and then every time you went on vacation for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, or whatever, you decided to fire them and start all over, is that actually good practice? Is that something that you would practically do all the time? I mean, generally in my case, not that I'd like to have someone that I could trust to come back to continually and not have to restart the equation. And similarly, in business, we don't hire for a full-time position and then spend 6 months training them, knowing full well that it's highly likely that we'll just let them go after a year has gone by. It doesn't make sense. It costs money to hire people, It costs money to train talent. It takes time to build relationships with students. And it's even more expensive to hire someone after the fact who isn't a good fit. And it's all too easy to derail these investments in people, in teachers, in students, by having a short-sighted outlook, or by not understanding all of the costs involved in a decision, or by not taking them into account. We either value these investments or we do not. I'd also like to say I very much appreciated and fully support the statement that was made referring to the research and such. I think that's very important to understand. We value this. I think we should all value this. And I feel in summary that the proposed cut in music staff that is put forward, that I understand, is simply put penny wise and pound foolish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Leticia Level. I am a parent of two 10th graders that are very involved in the arts, Clue and right now the musical that we're very excited for, and also the music program. Also a co-president of Music Sponsors. I am going to read a letter on behalf of Julie and Michael Lauby, because she was unable to be here tonight. Dear District Board, my husband and I are the parents of Matthew Lauby, a junior who attends RB's hybrid model and is an RB athlete. Matthew has been part of a string orchestra since freshman year. He began playing at Blythe Park and continued for 3 years at Hauser while enjoying playing as an 8th grader with the RB orchestra. Matthew plans on continuing in orchestra his senior year and using what he has been taught to continue playing outside of school. We also have a 7th grader at Hauser who looks forward to playing in the orchestra during his 4 years at RB. We are invested in the RBHS music department and its orchestra for the next 5.5 years. I am writing to you on behalf of Riverside Brookfield's newest orchestra teacher, Mr. Matthew Loeb, who was hired this past August. Mr. Loeb had little time to prepare for classes while also preparing to instruct both hybrid and remote students. It is an understatement to say Mr. Loeb stepped up to the challenge and task set before him. He rose to and far exceeded the challenge and task set before him, taking the bull by its horns, and has been a great asset to RB's music department. Mr. Loeb is Matthew's 3rd orchestra teacher in 3 years. Mr. Loeb has continually engaged Matthew and his fellow orchestra students and has taught them new skills and techniques, which has also led them to being outstanding musicians. Matthew and his friends have spoken highly of Mr. Loeb and have enjoyed this year's orchestra immensely with the amount of enthusiasm and love for music that he has demonstrated each and every day to students both hybrid and remote. He is very engaging and a professional at parent-teacher conferences in October and has been nothing but a positive asset and a shining light to RB's orchestra students as he is easy to communicate and work with. Mr. Loeb has continually motivated students to learn and excel at music. He has already made a favorable and lasting impression on RB music students, parents, and staff, far exceeding what anyone would expect a new but experienced teacher to do. Mr. Loeb has shown his dedication, commitment, and love for RB music and Bulldog community by working endlessly to only make it better and to bring stability to the orchestra program. The winter concert, although done virtually this year, is a favorite event of families in Riverside, North Riverside, Brookfield, and surrounding communities and is enjoyed by both young and old alike. Mr. Loeb stepped up to the plate to help produce this beautiful concert, which is still being talked about as it has truly brightened many lives. I urge the Board of Education to develop a long-term plan in lieu of a year-to-year. Mr. Loeb has exceeded the expectations of students, parents, and the community with his experience and true appreciation for music. The District 208 Board of Education should offer Mr. Loeb a permanent position in the RB Music Department and let him work at rebuilding and strengthening the RB Orchestra program and the RB Music Department. I strongly urge the Board of Education to invest in Mr. Loeb and the future. She said it twice, sorry. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, Julie and Michael Laupy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lisa Spasionis. I'm just a continuation of this effort. I'm one of the presidents of the parent music group here at RB, and I have a sophomore who's in the music program and loving every minute of it, has Mr. Baum and Mr. Loeb. I just want to say generally that we are concerned about numbers going down, enrollment numbers going down in the music program, but we feel like it's such an unfair year to base it off of because all of the fun that comes with music has been mostly eliminated this year, so I feel like kids are kind of using that as a basis to make their decision for next year. And it seems skewed because we're limited to the pandemic, and it doesn't seem right, but we're very proud of the music program we have here, and we'd like to keep it going. So this is a letter from Matthew Laube, who couldn't be here tonight. My name is Matthew Laube, and I'm a junior in the string orchestra and have been since freshman year. I also attend RB's hybrid model, and I'm on the RB cross country and lacrosse team. Mr. Loeb is my third orchestra teacher in 3 years and has made orchestra fun while also imparting new skills and knowledge to us, whether it has been through Zoom or hybrid. Mr. Loeb has continually engaged my class even when most of the students are learning remotely, as I am one of 2 who attends the hybrid model. I always look forward to orchestra and seeing Mr. Loeb. He always exhibits enthusiasm and love for music this year while sharing his immense talent with his classes. Mr. Loeb has always been available to assist us during class and office hours. Mr. Loeb has continually motivated all of the music students this year and continuously gives the skills we need to learn so that we may excel and make ourselves better in all aspects of our schooling. It has only been all uphill with Mr. Loeb and an enjoyable year. I am gaining new skills I need to play outside of school as I volunteer to play violin at my church. I ask the Board of Education to offer Mr. Loeb a permanent position in the RB Music Department and let him work with me as a senior, and then with my younger brother who plays the viola in the 7th grade orchestra and chamber orchestra at Hauser. He'll continue to have a positive impact on my fellow students and me in the time we have at RB. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
What, Claire?
I know I'm not on the list, but Mr. Mann.
Oh, yes, of course.
Sorry, I was at
Everybody
rehearsal.
gets a chance to speak.
Yeah.
We just use the list to make it more orderly, but yes, of course.
We'll put our hand up when you have 30 seconds left, okay?
Hello, my name is Claire Harrison and I am a junior. I spoke a couple months ago about why I have chosen to remain remote throughout the whole school year, but I'm here for a different reason tonight. As some of you may have remembered, I am heavily involved in the fine arts, especially band. Unsurprisingly, I was outraged when I heard about the recent developments involving one of my band teachers. Since the first minute I met Mr. Loeb, I knew he was exactly what the music department needed. He's a positive, talented, and kind leader who helps us not only to grow as musicians, but as human beings. I think a lot of us can use more positive and kind people in our lives right now. I spent a lot of time in the fine arts, whether that be painting, stage managing, or playing in the band. Because of this, I know the profound impact a good fine arts teacher can have on one's life. Please know that I was not sent by anyone tonight and that I truly stand by everything I have said. Please do not take away opportunities from fine arts students. I know that I speak for many of my classmates when I say that the fine arts are more than just a class for us. These teachers are more than just people who teach us scales and the right notes. These are incredibly influential figures in our lives. Know that the decisions the administration and the board make do not go unnoticed by us. Please think of more than logistics and money when it comes to making this decision. Think of the joy we get from music. Think of those of us who only made it through these hard times because of people like Mr. Loeb. When you make this decision, think of us. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Good job. Thank you.
Good job, Claire.
That it? Dr. Freitas, anybody have any other participants? Okay.
Okay.
All right, we want to
Checking.
move on without everybody getting a chance. Okay, we'll do additional discussion items. At this point in the meeting, Board of Education members may request to add an additional discussion item. Look, all right, my left. Okay, we'll go to the reports. President's report, I do not have one.